Hello, what's up YouTube, and welcome to this episode of Road to Professional DJ. In this episode, I wanted to talk to you guys all about how I got my first gig, or in fact my first few gigs, because a lot of different strange situations did happen. But I wanted to talk to you guys about it because obviously with coronavirus going on at the moment, there's a lot of different factors coming into play. Some of you guys out there are going to never have had a gig before in your life. You've got all this free time on your hands at the moment because you're not studying, you're not working, you're not doing your normal day-to-day activities, you're stuck at home on lockdown, so you're deciding to make the most of this opportunity and practice DJing, or at least doing what you enjoy, and making the most of the free time you have to do your hobby. If you're doing that, if you're getting better at that, you're probably thinking that maybe you want to start taking it more seriously and having the opportunity to finally play out and do your first gig. For lots of other of you who are already established DJs, of course, your normal path to be getting gigs is cancelled. Clubs are cancelled, weddings are cancelled, events aren't going on at the moment. So when this does all eventually blow over, you're going to have to use perhaps some of these methods to try and get the ball rolling for yourself again and to start getting more gigs. So for me, I wanted to talk about the first few times I did play out in different situations I was in. There's a few different weird ones for me because I was in some more strange situations, but I'll cut to the chase. Okay, so my first gig was a bit of a weird one. I went traveling. I was out in Cambodia a few years ago, and on a Wednesday night, the school I was volunteering on, all the adults, there was loads of Western young people like me there volunteering. We used to go out to a club on a Wednesday night. Now, for whatever reason, we used to stay out a lot later than the locals. It wasn't actually that late, but by like 1 o'clock in the morning, all the locals had gone, and we'd stay till sort of 2 or 3. At that point, the DJs used to let us go onto the laptop and play whatever music we wanted. So really, it was a laptop plugged into a mixer, and that was going out to the crowd. I jumped on that a few times, having already been practicing DJing at home. Didn't actually really consider playing out that much, but I sort of fell into the opportunity to be playing some music. Although it was from YouTube into a club, I'd be up there for maybe half an hour, we'd rotate, and you know, we had a little bit of fun doing that.
Yo, hands up in the sky!
So that was sort of my first gig, but after I did that, I sort of got a little bit of a bug for it. I really enjoyed it. It was really good fun, seeing people dancing to the music you're playing, the buzz of it. I really enjoyed it. So I then continued traveling. I went to Vietnam, and I got talking to a bar manager whose DJ had recently had an accident or something, a car accident, tragic car accident. He was all right in the long term, but at that moment in time, he wasn't DJing. They had a guy up there who I had actually already sort of noticed he perhaps didn't really know what he was doing so much. But it did mean that essentially they needed a DJ. And I just sort of stumbled across this opportunity. I told him I could DJ. The next night, I was up there myself DJing with a set of decks for the whole night. I was a little bit shitting myself, to be honest, but I sort of fell into that opportunity again, took the opportunity, and that was my first sort of real club gig because I was DJing the whole night. Long story short, I ended up doing a residency at that bar in Vietnam. I was there for a couple of weeks, DJing every night, got free accommodation, living there with the guys, eating with them. It was a really amazing experience. I didn't charge for them because they were just looking after me, and that was enough. I had an amazing experience there. So that was maybe then my first gig, but again, it's a little bit weird. As I continued traveling, I got a few other gigs a bit like that, but perhaps that's not completely relatable to some of you guys. So when I did eventually get back to the UK, I decided that I was gonna try and take DJing a bit more seriously and really try and get myself out there. So what did I do? Well, I live in between two fairly or reasonable sized cities, Southampton and Portsmouth. I went round to every single club in Southampton and Portsmouth, dropping off mixtapes, speaking to managers. I then went onto social media. I messaged all the clubs. In the south coast of England or in the UK, we have a lot of promoters, which go around and do club takeovers and they book DJs. So I was messaging every man and their dog within those on social media. Because of social media these days, these people are a little bit easier to get hold of. But I do think that you should talk to people face to face if you can. Nevertheless, my first opportunity did come DJing for a brand called Boxed In, which I've now taken over and run, but that's a story for another time. And that is how I then did get my first UK gig, playing house and techno music, which is what I specialise in and what I love. So that is how I ended up getting my first gigs. There was quite a few weird stages there, but from the long and short of it, that's how it happened. When I was out traveling, I did get other gigs as well, and it was literally a case of walking up to clubs, asking to speak to a manager and seeing what they're saying. Do you know what? It's a little bit of a nerve-wracking moment when you're actually walking up to these guys and asking, but actually, no one's ever been rude to me when I've asked to do that. In fact, one guy who runs a club called Astoria in Portsmouth, he was like, first of all, he said, look, no, there's unfortunately no way of getting you in at the moment. We've got so many DJs. It's tough getting them all on, to be honest, at the moment, for whatever reason and for whatever structure they do with their different nights. But he did say about how he got into DJing. He doesn't do it so much anymore, but where he started, he was telling me how he started at weddings and events and then got into clubs. And then I think he ended up taking over clubs and taking his business elsewhere, or at least instead of being a DJ, into more running the clubs. But he gave me the time of the day. This is someone who's running a club which has a capacity of 1,500 people, and I was stood at the front having a nice 5-minute chat with him. So don't be nervous about getting yourself out there. Have a chat with these people, give them a mix. And also, if you're the one who sort of walked up to the bar and the club and spoke to him, he can put a name to a face when you then message him a week or 2 or month or 3 months or a year later, which is really going to help. So I think that will help definitely a lot of you guys out there who perhaps are bedroom DJs at the moment and want to try and get some more gigs. A lot of you guys where your gigs have sort of dried up because of coronavirus, hopefully it will be a bit easier for you guys because you've got the connections, you've got clients, maybe you've got your website set up. If you're a wedding DJ, you've perhaps already been getting recommendations and bookings and things like that, so everything's maybe pushed back. But these sort of methods could help you guys as well. I know some of you guys out there are also going to be interested in playing festivals. I was booked for 3 festivals this year, and unfortunately, they've all been cancelled. I've only played 1 festival to date. I was hoping to get the 3 this year, and they've all been cancelled. Festivals are a bit of another beast as well to try and get into. Unless you're like a headline main DJ, it can be very hard. Often for myself, I try and think, how can I add value to a festival before I just ask them if I can play? Because if you're a big festival, especially somewhere like the UK, they're going to have so many people emailing them, asking them if they can play. It's ridiculous. Like, honestly, don't get me wrong. You should try. You should really try and just send them an email and say, can I DJ for you? Because what's the worst that can happen? They're going to say no, or they're not going to reply. But there are so many people that are doing that. So with my promotions brand Boxed In, for all these festivals, I've messaged them, I've reached out to them, I've emailed them. You can get emails off all these websites on their internet pages, their Facebook pages, and you can reach out to them. But I was telling them that I was a brand. I would like to help promote for them. So that means I can bring people through the door for them. I can make them more money. I can help them sell out their festival, because that is one of the hardest things about running big festivals. Unless you're Glastonbury, which just sells out every single year, it's an absolute promotional fight and marketing campaign to try and get that festival as full as possible. And I would approach them and say, look, I'm a DJ, I'm a brand, or I can promote, or I can do all those things for you. I'll help bring more people through the front door for you. That's going to help you. And then I get the benefit of playing there. So especially when maybe you're at my stage and you're like getting intermediate, and you're starting to get booked more, and better things are starting to happen, you can do these sort of things. But yeah, I really hope that's going to help some of you guys out there. If you are a bedroom DJ at the moment, then do take the jump, go for it. It's a great experience, and don't be one of the guys that looks back in the future having never given it a try. But yeah, that's my quick lowdown. That's my quick update. That's how I got my first gigs, and that's definitely what I'm going to be doing going forward. All those different methods I talked about, so I hope some of them help you. If you did enjoy this video or you found it of any help or any value, please do give it a thumbs up. It really does help. And of course, subscribe for more good stuff coming soon on the road to professional DJ. Cheers!